special shout out to our sponsor, Qualia. Qualia is the category-creating digital closing platform used by thousands of lenders across the country to seamlessly work with their title and escrow partners. By working better together, Qualia is powering lenders to deliver a differentiated closing experience for their clients. Through real-time communications, closing status updates, and workflow management, Qualia brings lenders together with home buyers and sellers, title and escrow agents, and real estate agents for a secure and seamless closing experience. Qualia is proud to have been awarded the Housing Wire Tech 100 Award for real estate, as well as CB Insights FinTech 250 Award. Discover how you can work more efficiently with your title and escrow partners at qualia.com/innovators. That's QUALIA.com/innovators.
Greetings, everyone. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to the Mortgage Innovators podcast, where we deliver fresh and hopefully fun and entertaining insights on all things mortgage and the innovation propelling our industry forward. My name is Margaret Chiavini, and I am with New Res Correspondent Lending. And every Tuesday, you can find our rotating group of co-hosts who all share their own unique connection to the industry. Today, I am joined by the very lovely Sue Woodard of Strathmore. Hello, Sue.
Hey, Margaret. I'm still looking at your background, always feeling like I want to come like just hang out in that room and have a glass of wine with you. So we got to make it happen one of these days.
Well, absolutely. Well, I fired up the fireplace specifically for our chat today because last week I had the pleasure of co-hosting the 2022 Mortgage Innovators Conference. And Sue, not only were you there, but you also moderated a very wonderful panel discussion. And so I thought, how great to take this podcast episode and to chat about some of our takeaways from the conference. So we'll pull up a chair next to the fireplace and we'll share. Does that sound good?
It sounds great. I love it.
Awesome. So, I'll just kind of kick us off because one of the things that I absolutely loved about the conference, frankly, was the energy. There was a very special vibe and a very special energy at that conference. I go to a lot of conferences, yeah. And I would say it was very unique in that way. And from my point of view, I think it has to do in part with the topic. Innovation just has something special. The conference kicked off with an interview from Steve Jobs from I think it was 1994, or maybe it was even in the 80s. And he really called to everyone that innovation is up to us. We can make change. And it just, for me at least, it kind of reminded me about how vision has the power to change and have dramatic change. So the energy and connection and calling on really people that have made an impact outside of our industry. I loved all of that about the conference.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think one of the things I thought about as I did bounce around through, I was in 8 different airports last week during my travels, which is why you may hear I have a little bit of a cold. So, but one of the things that I really thought about was, when you get on one of those really turbulent flights, what do? You're like watching the flight attendants and you're listening for the pilot to sound calm. And, if the flight attendants look and act freaked out, then I'm going to be freaked out, but I'm looking for them to be calm and positive and, all that good stuff. And I think relatedly, I think having leaders display really good energy and about innovation and the industry. Yes, we're going through an interesting time as the industry adjusts to the change in volume and shift to being very purchase centric with a lot less refinancing. But it's not a time for leaders to be engaged in doom and gloom. It's a time for leaders to be thinking about innovation, to be thinking about positivity. Okay, we've got some bumpy waters. All right, how do we change course and what do we need to do? And so I think it was great for the leaders who were there, both on the vendor side and on the lender side, really to both kind of embrace that and think about some new ways to innovate. And it's not all about, how do we cut? How do we, how do we innovate? How do we actually, change course and navigate through some bumpy waters and really be a great leader that our teams need us to be right now. And, realistically, Margaret, one of the stats I heard over the past week was if this year's volume turns out as planned, it will still be the third highest volume on record in the last 15 years.
Wow.
Right? So
Yeah.
not like, yes, we're coming off of this kind of sugar rush, but it's not like it's going to be just horrific year. And so there's all kinds of wonderful things to embrace. So I agree with you. I appreciated the energy and positivity around looking forward and how to innovate, how to navigate, and how to lead our teams as we move forward.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing, many people came up to me and said that what they appreciated so much about the conference was the content. And the content was very approachable. In other words, every single panel was actionable, that the information in the panel you could take back and you could actually implement it. And when I think about, just like what you're talking, I love that you said, this will be the third best year that we've had in 15 years. I mean, there's a lot to be grateful for and a lot to really anchor to. And I think it's easy sometimes to, go to the other side. And there's so many good things. And the content really brought that out. A few things that I'd really like to just sort of underscore is, a lot of the content was how to be more efficient. Right now, this is the time when we need to think about that. How do we be more efficient? Traditionally in our business, we throw bodies at everything. And so how can we change that paradigm? How can we change that narrative and be more efficient? So I really like that. I also really liked the idea that that the conference was bringing forth threats to enterprise and to culture, that kind of thing, and how to protect your company.
Yeah.
It's so much easier when you know that a threat's coming and being prepared for it. And then, your panel, to me, that was, setting the 5-star experience and sort of this whole idea of how do you build powerful experiences. So
Yeah.
I loved the content.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, and one of the things, by the way, you and Paul did an incredible job hosting the event. But one of the things that I remember I kind of freaked out about a little bit when Nick and Catherine said you have 30 minutes for your panel. I was like, 30 minutes? I've got, I have these 4 guys on the panel being Dave Savage, Alex Kutchishin, Josh Friend, and Jason Smith. And I thought, how am I going to get those guys to say anything in half an hour? But I think it was really smart the way the conference was held, just because it was great content packed in little bite-sized slices. And it also did encourage everybody to make sure that it was very actionable. So I agree with you. I liked the sessions talking about, certainly a lot of things around efficiencies. There was a lot of technology vendors there. And what I probably really I loved all of the technology demos. I talked to some of the executives who were there, the lending executives, and they said that they were there because they wanted to make sure that there was not a new piece of technology or new, way to be more efficient, that they might not, they don't want to miss out on anything. And what I liked about, again, the little short form, demos is that they were very focused on how this was going to make a difference in your business right now. Lender executives that I talk to right now are very concerned about just getting the most out of the solutions that they have and being able to do more, do more with what they have. And so I think, I heard the vendors and the technology providers, solution providers really being responsive to that and talking a lot about how do you get the most out of it? How do you get your ROI? That was a big topic being talked about. How do you get engagement? What does engagement actually mean with these technology solutions and how do you get it? And, I encourage everybody to go to your technology partners and talk to them about it. Don't feel like you're on your own with this. If you're listening as a lender, go to those technology partners. Qualia had a great presentation by Charlotte Brown. And again, I just, knowing these providers, these solution providers and the good that they're doing, go to these providers if you're working with them and say, hey, help me understand how I can get more out of this. And if, again, you even take a look at the website and see some of the solution providers that were there, they were very focused on ensuring that they weren't just kind of out there pitching. It was like, here's what we can do for you right now in this market, and here's how we're going to prove it to you. And I think that's where it's at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you're saying that, because in so many cases, the originators have technologies, and all they need is a little bridge to help them maximize, both or three of them. And it's conferences like this where that is really brought forth.
Yep. And I think, it's going to be interesting, I think, as the industry starts to evolve and does find more ways to be efficient. I heard somebody say recently we've taken away the paper, but not the paperwork. It's like we've got a lot of the same, processes. We're just trying to do them digitally, but I think that's going to begin to change. And so, and I think the solution providers out there are very incented to help make things, easier, faster, more efficient. And it's not about, just removing all the people by any means, but it's about enabling people to do the parts of the process that absolutely require a person to do. But how can we make the rest of the process more efficient and ultimately serve the customer in a better way? And I saw and heard a lot of folks really focused on that. I thought that was very important.
Yeah, I did too. I loved that rise of the bots, when they really talked about robotics and how that's, playing more and more in our industry, and then AI. And to your point, it's not about getting rid of people. It's about the stuff that you don't need the people to do. Let's have the people, which is absolutely the most important asset, do the most important functions.
Yeah. Yep. David Carandish gave a great talk about AI. And he actually brought up this slide that was the weirdest thing I ever saw, because you're talking about machine learning, and it was like, well, is it a puppy or is it a blueberry muffin? And you looked at it, it was a both, right? Do you remember that slide? I don't know if you saw it. It was like, I snapped a picture of it and posted it on LinkedIn, because, he was talking about how does AI actually start to learn, and where do you actually need a human being to be like, no, don't eat that. That's a puppy, So
Yeah.
It was really good. It was just tons of great sessions.
Totally. And just kind of rounding out our little fireside chat today, I also absolutely loved the Innovation Deck Party.
Yeah.
That was so fun. It was so fun.
It was. I hate to make everybody jealous, because if you're listening and you weren't there,
Oh,
but I just put this event on your list next year if you weren't there. If you were there, you know what we're talking about. But yes, I have to agree with you. That was one of probably the most, I've been to a lot of conferences in my day, girl, so have you. But that was one of the most fun parties, ever. I mean, I remember they said they was going to have a DJ, and I'm like, oh, that I don't know about that, but it was just great music. There was games. There was this crazy photo booth that, with camera that went around you. I mean, like, all these really fun things to do, great food. It was just, it was great. I think most importantly, all the people that were there, people are so excited to be able to be together, to connect, to share ideas, to, talk about where they're innovating, how they can, I just watched people ding, 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 connecting with each other. And it was a lot of fun. So as I said, if you didn't go this year, shame on you, and we'll see you next year.
Absolutely. Well, Sue, I always love talking to you, and it was just so wonderful to be able to see you, give you a hug, and I thank you so much for helping make the conference, such a wonderful success.
You got it.
Yes. No
but
problem.
I appreciate it, Margaret. And
absolutely. Okay. All right. Well, to all our listeners, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. As always, if you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe to the Mortgage Innovators YouTube channel or wherever you podcast. And we'll see you next time.